like you said, I'm not a professional speaker. I do talk a lot normally in regular life, but not in front of people often. But anyways, I obviously am extremely humbled, and this is not somewhere that I ever really pictured myself. And especially after having met Kim 8 months ago, and then the condition of which I met her, I would not have thought that it would have brought me here. I came to her 8 months ago. It was almost exactly. It was like the end of August 2013, where I finally, I just like had enough, but I had no clue where to even begin because of all the things that happened to me. So basically, I was broken, confused, and disheveled, and I had become so lost that I wasn't sure where to start. And to see that that she would have the faith, and I guess just think that I had something to share with you guys at this point, only 8 months later, is truly amazing to me because, now the peace and the joy and just the way that I live my life out of faith and not out of dwelling on all these things that I think were the things that defined me. It's made, what everyone else would have thought the last 8 months of my life would have been the hardest. It's honestly been dramatically better and much easier than the past 5 years had been, where I was living in constant struggle with the decisions I was making and exactly who I was as a person. But it was just amazing how much, as soon as I let it all go and stopped trying to figure it all out myself and stopped believing the lies that the devil seeps in little by little, it really did change everything. So it's just pretty interesting because I feel like I saw where a lot of the truths that God obviously reveals to us, and one of the ones that I just never really thought that would ever be possible for me was that I could ever be genuinely thankful for the circumstances that I had brought upon myself. Because I constantly went back to, if only this hadn't happened, why did this happen, and what was I doing so wrong that got me here? That finally, when I took a step back and realized that I was exactly where I was supposed to be, and there was a reason for it, and that if these things hadn't manifested, then I would just be living. I would just continue to be living and believing the lies that the devil tells us. That so often he tells all of us, but they don't manifest in a way that brings it to our attention, and more just in ways where maybe we can just pretend like it wasn't real. Because one of the things that I feel like I always wished about my addictions or just problems that came my way, were that I could deal with them in a way that was less public, in the way that nobody else, that everyone didn't see, like everyone else. It seemed like everybody else seemed to be able to do, where maybe they would have, we all have our own ways of dealing with our problems, but just in ways where they didn't come out to be such big ordeals. But anyways, I know it's kind of surprising when you first look at me. I look so sweet and gentle, all around wonderful, and just it's definitely hard to see me as being someone that would be susceptible to addiction. But I guess that is one of my main points that I feel like is so important for us all to remember, that that really that it can happen to anybody, that you don't know. That we all suffer from different. We all have our own demons, and we all have our own ways of dealing with things, that maybe we're mean to our neighbor when they don't deserve it, and just all different kinds of ways, and we're really not all that different. So we shouldn't look at other people as if that what they're doing we can't relate to, and we don't understand why they would let things come out that way, because really we're all just fighting the same fight and trying to not believe the lies that the devil tells us, and instead seek the truth, and that is that the things that God tells us are true, and if we live that way, we'll be happier, and things will work out a whole lot better. So anyways, I guess to kind of give you more of a background of as far as like what I'm saying, these things that went wrong in my life. I grew up in a very strong Christian family. They're all here right now. I feel like that I was very lucky, and I have two older sisters. I'm the youngest, so I had two great role models. I wanted to be just like them. Everything was good. My mom and dad, they supported me in a way that I feel like now that I've grown up, I realize that's extremely rare. There was absolutely no drinking in our house. There was no it wasn't even that it wasn't looked down upon. It was just that we had so much other stuff going on and so many other things that were much more productive. It wasn't even something we dealt with. They didn't ever overcompensate with like giving me too much stuff because they weren't around. They were always there to support me. I played a lot of sports. I was extremely competitive. My dad was there for me every day when I got from school. He was there to push me, and I had a great upbringing, and I was never neglected. And I kind of use this as like a reason to even provide me with more shame because I did not understand how I turned out like this. But we all have our own struggles, and they're all going to manifest. And it didn't mean that I loved them any less, and it just meant that it was just something we had to deal with. So they taught me to choose what I did based on what was right, not what everyone else was doing, and that I was to be held accountable for everything I did. So the actions and the decisions and the problems that I've gotten myself in, you wouldn't have ever thought would have come from a person that was instilled all these things so strongly. But it is what it is. So basically, I played a lot of sports in high school. I was very competitive, and maybe that had something to do with some of the things that I got myself into. Because as a child, I was very I was the youngest of all my family members. So you could call me a lot of things, but calling me sweet or cute, that was grounds to get you punched. And as I got older, it became less and less acceptable. And anything that really gave me the feelings of where I felt like that someone else looked at me as weak or not capable of doing the things that they were doing, it instilled some sort of weird anger in me, and I wasn't really sure why. And it seems to kind of be a theme that never really left me. So when I started college, everything was fine. I went to NC State. The whole rest of my family had been to Carolina, but I thought, you know what, this is my one thing to do different. And I didn't really think much about it. Yeah, it was where all the cooler people went. They thought they were really, exclusive group over there. But anyways, I've remained a Carolina fan. But as far as once I got there, my allegiances quickly changed. But I will always have a respect for the Heels because of. Right. So, anyways, I didn't feel like I was making any decisions that were too horrible. But as everything came to manifest, the summer after my sophomore year of college, I got arrested for the first time for assaulting a police officer at my parents' house in Concord, which I mean, now I can't even believe it, that I would have that much disrespect and, all the different things that go with doing something like that. I just spent the night in jail in Concord. So I thought, okay, well, that was dumb. That'll never happen again. I just got unlucky. Didn't even consider really changing. I made it through that summer, but didn't really consider exactly that maybe that this wasn't the best way for me to live. So continued. Everything was kind of fine. I guess I graduated from college. I was 21, 22, and went on to try to figure out the next stage of my life. Anyways, quickly, I better sum it up pretty fast. Managed to get a DUI within about 6 months of graduating, which had been the furthest fear of my parents because I drank so heavily that I wasn't even going to be driving. And I think that it did represent the fact that I was trying. But the problem with when you're in a sin that's so deep, that has been going on for so long, the lies that the devil's told you, you can't really break free of them without coming up with some sort of, without making some huge lifestyle change. Anyways, years later, just about 8 months ago, or no, it was actually, I guess, about 10, I received another DUI. And so currently I lost my license for 2 years and or more, and my whole life has changed. But but literally my whole perspective since I finally lost my license in January I'm definitely thankful to the fact that I do not have to live with believing the lies that the devil was telling me for so long. I chose to stop drinking right before I met Kim, and I haven't looked back. I'm no longer addicted to something that was the culprit of all the lies that I was being told. So anyways, I guess to put it all in perspective, I mean, sin always takes you further than you ever meant to go, and takes you where you were never willing, and takes more from you than you were ever willing to give. So anyways, that's kind of my story. I'm sorry I was a little jumbled, but I'm happy that I can say that I've broken free, and I'm at least in the pursuit of the truth instead of believing the lies that the devil told me for so long.